much for that warm introduction. So I am hearing a theme that I just want to highlight, and it is really coming down to relationships and how much relationships matter. Social media is a tool. It's a tool through which we express what we care about, what we're passionate about, and how we solve problems for the audiences that we serve. So that's the theme I'm hearing today, and I'm so excited to bring to you this topic, which is about the relationship between marketing and sales, and actually so much more. So, you may notice a little title change here. So my group recently rebranded. So I'm now the global lead of what's called the B2B Institute at LinkedIn. We are a think tank inside of LinkedIn that is focused on strategies for growth in marketing. So excited about that. And so let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about here. So first, we've done some research. We are a think tank, so we nerd out about those types of things. And then, so I'm going to share that research with you. But then I'm actually going to share with you, getting tactical, how you actually implement this research within your business. But let me understand who I'm talking to first so I can make sure I'm connecting the message. How many of you are B2B marketers? Okay, so we've got a few B2B marketers in the room. That's great. And then how many of you would consider yourselves to be power users of LinkedIn? Okay, great. So we've got a few of that as well. So just want to make sure we're connecting the dots. So for those of you who are not as familiar with LinkedIn, I'm going to show you exactly how we go about, at a high level, approaching the sales and marketing alignment and account-based marketing on LinkedIn as well. So you can think about how you might implement this in your businesses. So first, let me set the record straight on a few things. So I know account-based marketing was in the title, but I so believe that words matter. And when we say account-based marketing, we're leaving out the critical part of the formula, which is sales. So when we talk about account-based marketing, I actually like to talk about marketing and sales orchestration. And if we're very real about it, if we really get serious about it, we understand that accomplishing a strong account-based marketing campaign really takes more than sales. It actually takes the participation of everyone throughout the business, from your executives to individual contributors to customer service people. It's everyone who interacts with your customers. So imagine all of those different customer touch points. And where we see account-based marketing strategies not work out for businesses is where we see people not truly invested in the change management required to get sales and marketing in particular working together. So making sure that you're sharing insights, agreeing on KPIs and the goals you want to reach, having accountability and having workflows to make it happen, and then also just talking more. You know, why can't we just talk more? So those are the things that really make a difference in terms of that account-based marketing and fulfilling on it. So we're going to talk it from that marketing and sales orchestration standpoint. Okay, so first let me talk to our marketers in the room. And I know it's a little hard to see what's on the slide, but just imagine being bombarded with all of the different messages that come from a marketing automation platform. So marketers, we have OD'd on marketing automation. And marketing automation is a powerful tool. It's effective when used thoughtfully. But when it's not used thoughtfully, it can actually become a tool for mass alienation. So we like to think that we are sending helpful messages to our customers, but when we're not being thoughtful about that, the way we go about doing it, and actually coordinating with sales as well, we can actually amplify the impact in a negative way for our customers. And then salespeople. So do we have any salespeople in the room? Yes, so we've got some salespeople in the room, and hint, marketers, we were also selling to. So, salespeople, we're in on this too, so we're not immune to this. We are still cold calling. And we know from research, cold calling is only 3% effective. And in the traditional sales scenario, and Carlos talked about this a little bit too, someone is always being sold to, and we don't like being sold to. So in this new modern social and digital world, we have to explore a new way of doing things. One of the things we talk about at LinkedIn is a concept called social selling. And social selling is this idea of building a relationship with someone over time by sharing helpful content, interacting with them as a human being, and helping them solve the complex problems, take advantage of opportunities. It's about being there for our customers. Done well, social selling can actually eliminate the need for cold calling in your business. So definitely recommend checking that out. So why are we focusing on what we should be doing between sales and marketing? It's not just because it's a better way to sell, it's because it's what our customers expect. So what you're looking at here on the slide are some of my personal accounts. So if Amazon and Spotify are a window into your soul, my soul is filled with Lactaid, NyQuil, and reggae music. So don't judge me. I don't like to suffer, and I do like reggae music. But anyway, we expect great engagement. When I log into Amazon, I know they have my NyQuil ready when I need it. I know that the music I want to hear is being recommended to me, and we expect this now from marketers. We expect this even in B2B marketing. So the question then becomes, for those of us who are investing the time, the money, the energy to invest in account-based marketing, this means you're investing with the highest priority accounts that you want to reach. How do we create this type of experience? Because yes, it is possible in B2B if we can work together. So part of the reason why we struggle to work together, I want to talk about this for a second, then I'm going to go into the research. Part of the reason we struggle is because we don't speak the same language. If I ask a marketer to describe a picture of your world, most people say, oh, it's a funnel. When I ask a salesperson to paint me a picture of their world, they say it's a pipeline. So which is it? Is it a funnel? Is it a pipeline? Is it a punnel? Is it a funnel? I don't know, but it looks crazy to our customers when the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So this is part of the challenge. We're not speaking the same language. And even if we were speaking the same language, the other part of the challenge is that sales and marketing aren't using platforms that are connected. So oftentimes marketing will use a platform, like a marketing automation platform, and a salesperson will use a CRM. These tools oftentimes don't speak to each other, and this makes it incredibly difficult for us to understand the customer insights on which we should be acting. So even if we wanted to be BFFs, the systems don't allow us to do that. So one of the things we need to be thoughtful about in the future, especially as we create campaigns to reach our highest priority customers, is how do we start to use technology to facilitate the relationship between teams that need to work together. So now I want to get into some research. And this research is coming straight out of LinkedIn. We have access to this data because we have customers that both use LinkedIn's Campaign Manager and LinkedIn's Sales Navigator products. So we can actually see on the back end of our systems how many of the customers that marketing is targeting are also being outreached to by salespeople using our Sales Navigator product. So this is an updated version of the research that just came out pretty recently, because we were looking at over a 6-month period from a marketing standpoint, the customers in our database targeting 131 unique decision makers with marketing updates. So that's how many people they reached. And then of the salespeople connected to those businesses, they had 13 million connections. And what we realized is that the overlap between the customers that were being outreached to by marketing and the actual connections by the sales team that were being nurtured was only 5%. That is leaving 95% of those possible connections on the table. And that's tough. So as we were sharing this research, there's a particular company, I'm not going to say their name, we're going to protect the innocent, we call them Company X. They said, you know what, we're going to do something about this, we're going to take this on. So they started to work with us, and this is how they started out. So Company X, they were targeting 1.8 million decision makers using LinkedIn marketing solutions. And then their sales team were connected to about 500,000 connections. And so this was between the time period of August 2017 and January 2018. And so their starting point is that 22% of those relationships were being influenced by sales. So what we're saying here is that we're leaving a lot of money on the table. We have marketers who are being, if we're being real about it, kind of inefficient in terms of the way we are warming up and letting customers understand that we're here to solve their challenges. And then we have salespeople that are saying, hey, it would be really great if when I call on a customer, they already know we exist, right? So we have a team that's not cooperating. So they got to work on this. So they deployed Sales Navigator to 100% of their sales reps, and they started to do some of the change management things that I talked about, starting to have their sales and marketing teams meet regularly, breaking down the silos between their businesses. And in the next 6 months, they were able to start to transform this conversation. So looking again at this chart, you see 2.5 million decision makers at this time period. So they upped the ante on marketing. And then we have, again, 500,000 connections. And then they've increased that to 27% in terms of the connections that they're reaching with that marketing message. So for them, that meant an additional 23,000 leads that were then being nurtured by the marketing team that weren't being nurtured before. And this has made, it's an encouraging improvement that they've made. And there's still some ways to go. So ultimately, what we want is 100% alignment between the efforts of our sales and marketing teams. From the marketing side, there's always going to be a little bit more because we're bringing in net new relationships, right? But ideally, in an ideal world, we would see 100% alignment. The people that sales are interested in talking to, marketing has already been there. Marketing has already let them know about the brand, and there's already that connection and that understanding. So looking at this a different way, this is a matrix, and we all know from matrices, you want to be in the upper right? You don't want to be in the bottom left. So taking a look at this, just to break it down, on the y-axis here, there's sales, and imagine that the x-axis says marketing. I know it's a little difficult to read with the lighting here. But then you have this matrix. You have untapped audience if no one is taking action, if both sales and marketing are not invested yet. You have a missed opportunity if you have sales operating without marketing support. A warm audience if sales is engaging but marketing hasn't yet connected. And then in the upper right is the sweet spot where we want to be. So again, looking at company X's investment, they were targeting 3 different audiences on LinkedIn. So customer experience decision makers, tech decision makers, and finance decision makers. And the size of the bubble denotes the target audience size. So looking at these slides, the colors I think are not coming through, so I'm going to break it down for you. So this is how they started out. With the CX decision makers, both sales and marketing are not yet engaged. So what we have here is an untapped audience. Tech, a little bit better, so a little bit more of that up and to the right motion. And then finance decision makers, also relatively moderate engagement from marketing and sales. So what we wanted to do is actually take a look at how that improves. So looking at how peers show up in this matrix, you see the yellow is now the peer average. So compared to all their peers in the industry, you can, going back one slide, thanks. Okay, so compared to the peers in the industry, they're actually doing reasonably well compared to the average. So you see with the CX decision makers, both a little bit untapped, finance decision makers, they're actually doing a little bit better than average, and then tech, they're actually doing more in terms of sales compared to the peer average. So what happens when we take a look at how company X has invested in their strategy? How does that correlate to their performance? So looking at customer experience decision makers, they were able to improve their standing. So you see a little bit more of that up and to the right motion. Finance and tech, you see that they've done a great deal of work, and they're starting to reap some of those benefits of alignment. Bottom line, though, to take away here is that there is a correlation between your performance in the market and your investment in the alignment between your sales and marketing teams. And this is the research that we're seeing inside of LinkedIn over and over. And more broadly, as we think about the impact of alignment, in particular as you pursue account-based marketing plans, we've seen 208% uplift in terms of that contribution to revenue by marketing through making this type of investment. And that may seem like a big number, but the reality is when you invest in this alignment, you're able to break into more accounts. When you're in those accounts, you're able to close more deals, and then the lifetime value of those deals is larger. So all of that contributes to that 208% uplift in terms of that marketing source revenue. So it's a worthwhile investment. So now that we've talked a little bit about the research and what we're seeing on the back end at LinkedIn, I actually want to show you how we approach this at LinkedIn. One of the frameworks that I love is this framework, Fit, Intent, Engage. I got this framework from Terminus. They have an account-based marketing tool, so that's something you could take a look at. I really love this model because it provides a really clear way for us to think about, as you look at tools for account-based marketing, where you might invest. You're going to need tools to help you identify those accounts that are a great fit for you. Then you're going to need to determine about how your audience is thinking and learn more about what their intent is. And then finally, you actually have to talk to them. So you're going to need a tool like LinkedIn, perhaps, to start to engage with them. So how do we do it? So a couple different things. So step one, it's great to start with data-driven insights, benchmarking and understanding the content to reach them. So this is about understanding the different people in the buying committee that are buying your products and services, and then operationalizing that journey. So two of the things that we love in terms of giving data to help you make those decisions at LinkedIn are first website demographics. If you take it's the free, by the way, so this is something, even if you're not currently marketing on LinkedIn, you should totally check out. If you take this Insights Pixel, you put it on your website, you're going to start to get information about the types of folks that are coming to your website. So things like what industry they're in, what are their job titles, and then the question for you as a marketer is this what I intended? And then from a trending content standpoint, for those of you who have LinkedIn company pages, you can start to get information about the types of content that your audience is engaging with. And then again, you want to give them more of what they're looking for. So with this type of data, you can start to refine the way you target your audience and the type of content that you're delivering to them. The other thing, we launched a pilot within LinkedIn to start to break down the technology wall that separates marketing and sales. We did a pilot where we allowed people using Sales Navigator to indicate these are the leads that are important to me, and then those leads get ported over into Campaign Manager for marketers to target. So it's a great way for salespeople to raise their hand and say, these are the prospects that are important to me, and then marketing can then take action. So we're seeing really great results from the pilot, and we're looking forward to continuing the investments to help all of us take advantage of the technology that will help us work better together. And then there's simple things we can do, like just talking to sales more, right? As marketing, I feel like the departments are so separated. It's just to walk down the hall and say, hello, how's it going? Tell me about the objections you're seeing. Tell me what you're seeing in the market. And then focusing on the buying committee, learning about who are the people that are involved in the sales process. This is particularly important for account-based marketing. And then also once you understand what that looks like, what is the thought leadership that's going to help those customers move along in that decision-making process? So as we think about that, moving from fit to intent, let's imagine that we've all been through a sales cycle together, several sales cycles. So we're now best friends, marketing and sales working together. And we know a couple things that we didn't know before because we've been through that cycle several times. We know who was in the buying committee that helped to make those decisions. We know what type of content was effective in helping them make those decisions. We know the length of time that it took. And we can take that information and put it back into the process and start to make decisions faster and faster and really reduce that sales cycle time. So this is part of what we can learn if we really invest in a system like this that can help us get those indicators that show someone is ready for outreach. And for those of us who practice B2B and even B2C marketing, we're already doing this. It's just a matter of putting it into practice. These propensity models, if you're already doing lead scoring, for example, in B2B marketing, you're practicing this. So it's an idea of thinking about, well, what does that ideal customer look like and what are the signals we can use that show that they're ready for engagement? So here's how we do that at LinkedIn. How many of you are using Sales Navigator? Okay, so we've got a few people using Sales Navigator. Inside Sales Navigator, you have the ability to follow accounts. So if there are companies that you are interested in, using Sales Navigator, you can start to get signals that tell you whether an account might be a worthwhile investment or whether it's the time to invest. For example, if a company is on a hiring spree, that may be a good time to reach out to them with your product and your service. If they are shrinking, that may also be a good time. It depends on what business you're in, right? Beyond the account level, you can also follow individual leads. So imagine the different people within the buying committee that you need to connect with. Wouldn't it be great if you knew what they cared about? What are they sharing? What thought leadership are they liking and commenting on, and that you can respond to them in real time? So these are some of the tools that we use at LinkedIn to determine a buyer's intent or their readiness as well, both on the account level and on the lead level. And then one of the hardest things for a sales manager to do is keep tabs on what's going on with leads that are in the pipeline across the entire team. And so the other thing you can do with Sales Navigator is keep track on the progress of deals that are going through that pipeline. Your salespeople can say, here are all the people in the buyer's circle, and here's where we are in the deal process. That way, as a sales manager, you can jump in and actually help them if a deal is getting stopped, and you can provide feedback given the people that are in the buyer's circle. So again, I talked about one of the challenges being that it's hard for us to connect because technology is having these walls between us. So this is a way for us to have better flow of communication and in terms of what's going on. And then I think one of the other powerful things is being timely. How many people know that being timely matters when we're doing outreach and making a sale? So receiving alerts, so knowing when someone has liked a piece of thought leadership content that you've shared or commented on something, and being able to respond in real time. This is about using social media as a relationship building tool. All right, so then on the marketing side of things, and we're getting towards the end here, folks, I think we need to do more than just talk about the funnel. This is really about the journey, the entire journey of your customer. The funnel is a little bit simplistic in that it doesn't take into account all of the different touch points where that customer is interacting with your business. So let's map out the real journey. Let's have an understanding of where in the process different parts of your business are actually interacting with that customer, and let's optimize every single one of them so that it's a pleasant and wonderful experience. So this is a real map of a financial services account customer that LinkedIn has done, and with an idea of let's understand how we move this person, how we support them in their decision making. All right, now closing the deal. One of the hardest things as you go through all of the work to get a deal closed in this process, you've talked to the customer, you think they're ready to go, and then all of a sudden you get ghosted. And you're like, what did I do? That's one of the hardest things, to not understand what happened in the background. So this is another tool called Point Drive within LinkedIn. And if you share content using Point Drive, you can see and get alerts on who within that company is opening up that content. So that way, if there's someone new entering the conversation and you previously hadn't had them in your buying circle, you can be thoughtful about how do I now respond to this new person who's entered the buying decision. So you're less likely to be out of the loop and not understanding what's going on in the background. So all of these things, and as you see where LinkedIn is going in terms of the investment, all of these investments are going towards breaking down the silos and making it easier for all of us to work together, because it's about our relationships and our connection, our ability to serve the customer, and we don't want the barriers to get in the way. So this is an example of another company that took on this change management process. They broke down the silos. They implemented Sales Navigator. They started meeting regularly with marketing. And looking at this chart, you can see in the beginning, sales and marketing weren't working together. But as they started to implement these processes, you start to see marketing and sales coming together to nurture a relationship with a customer, ultimately resulting in closing a $2 million deal. So this is what's possible, especially as you think about your own account-based marketing programs. And so how can you get better at collaboration? So focusing on targeting the same audiences, so number one. Two, building those shared relationships, so talking more. Something as simple as starting to meet more regularly. And then third, optimizing that process. So as you think about that flywheel, you go through the sales cycle several times. What did we learn from that? What can we do differently this time? Even if you don't do everything that I talked about today in these slides, taking the simple step of starting to meet more regularly with sales. This is how you can start to be on a path to having that stronger account-based marketing and what I say, marketing and sales orchestrated programs. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, everyone, you can have these slides, and I encourage you to connect with each other. I would love to share with you a pro tip if you come talk to me about how do you connect better using LinkedIn that you may not know about. I want to make sure everyone knows about it using the QR code. And if anyone's heard about that, if you haven't heard about it, come see me. I encourage you to connect with me and follow this link to get these slides. Thank you so much.